Think USA, think big, think bold, think Broadway, think the Big Apple, think LeBron, think Beyonce, think Tom Brady, think Tom Cruise, think Venus, think POTUS, think the Grand Canyon, think bright lights, think stars and stripes, think Hollywood, think the American dream. And this weekend, think of the dreams of some of the greatest triathletes in the world. It is lights, camera, action on the PTO US Open. Welcome to Milwaukee, Wisconsin for the second PTO event of the season. Coming up a little later, we'll see if world number one Ashleigh could get back to winning ways as she faced off against a stellar cast that included home favourite Taylor Knibb. But first, we focus on the men and a battle of the Olympic champions, part two, as Kristian Blummenfelt looked to spoil Jan Frodeno's fond farewell to a sport that he has dominated for well over a decade. Your race commentators are Marinda Carfrey, Jack Kelly and John Gooden.
We are racing 100 kilometers of super fast swim bike run here in Milwaukee for the PTO US Open. $600,000 is on the line here today, as well as big PTO points. 19 of the top 30 male PTO athletes are with us today. We are underway in the swim, which is 2 kilometers in Lake Michigan, consisting of 2 loops and a long Aussie exit, where the athletes will exit the water for about 125 meters before diving back in. So looking for caps in the orange color for the number one ranked Kristian Blummenfelt. Magnus Ditlev is wearing yellow. And we already are starting to see that arrowhead form as we get a little shakeout in the swim as they go towards the bridge. So really they're starting to string out, and we see, predictably, I think Aaron Royal has taken the lead.
Yeah, it looks like Aaron is in the lead there, and then I believe Mark Dubrick's on his feet. He took the swim out super hard, as Jack said, and it's starting to string out now, which is what we thought would happen a little earlier, but they're all so fast. In those first 300 meters, it's kind of a frenzy, and I think, you know, coming around these turn, boys, this is where it will really start to string. And as we, run up onto the Aussie exit, that'll be a great opportunity to see possible packs forming. So the surprise really is Kristian Blummenfelt. Really didn't expect him to be this far up the front at this stage of the race, but yeah, he did say that his swim's improved. So he's showing us right now that, and in fact, he can swim with the lead guys, but maybe a little gap forming right now. He'll have to really work to get back on the feet of Josh Amberger. It's still early, obviously, but very interested to see how this swim shakes out.
Let's talk the Aussie exit. So for the uninitiated, how does that impact the swim?
Yeah, so the Aussie exit, and this one is actually 150 meters. That's a fair way to run in the middle of a 2K swim. So this one, it depends on the athlete. Some athletes don't really like it. Other athletes see it as an opportunity to really bridge up. If there's a small gap and they're really struggling to get onto those feet, they get out of that Aussie exit and they just sprint around and then dive onto to feet. So it can really help.
All right, they exit the water.
So that's Mark Dubrick. That's Daniel Backergaard right there. Josh Amberger. Teal cap will be Jan Frodeno. There's Kristian Blummenfelt.
Oh, he's having to redo his cap.
Jan is behind Kristian Blummenfelt, but this is going to be interesting because they're going to have to really sprint to catch on to that front group. There might be a little bit of a pack forming right now.
And you've got to keep your footing as well, right? That's we've seen some slips and slides over the years.
Exactly. Yeah, it can get slick, and they do have a bit of a chicane to run through there. So keeping their footing. The blue carpet is pretty grippy, but again, you don't want to slip up.
Whoa, there you go. That's what they call the commentator's curse, I think.
There you go.
And I can see they're playing with their equipment a bit, the goggles. You've got to get that right. They obviously took them off for the run.
Yeah, some will have taken them off, some will have left them on, but yeah, just making sure they're positioned well. Here's Kristian jumping in a couple of seconds behind that main group, so he'll want to sprint to get back on. This will be a critical point for him to get back onto that front pack. But again, Kristian's got many cards to play, and if this card is played out well for him in the swim, he'll be smiling, I think, when he hops on the bike. And now we have a little lead change. Ben Canute taking his turn on the front, giving Aaron Royal a little rest. Yeah, and Aaron Royal's just such a beautiful swimmer, always sort of leads most swims, so I definitely know that they were very motivated to push this swim hard to sort of make Kristian Blummenfelt and Magnus Ditlev, and obviously the rest of the men work really hard to keep up. So they have made a break, and seven athletes in the front pack is definitely more manageable than 20. So I think they'll be pleased at that, but I think they'll be surprised when they get out of the water and see Kristian Blummenfelt right there on their feet.
Something else we haven't mentioned is that the water temperature is about 22.8 degrees. This is a non-wetsuit swim. So again, for those that don't quite understand how that changes things, can you elaborate on that for us?
Yeah, absolutely. Anything under, I think, 20.4 or 20.5 is wetsuit legal. And so then the athletes would obviously be wearing a wetsuit during the race. That changes things in that, in general, the non-swimmer or the swimmer who maybe didn't grow up swimming prefers a wetsuit swim because it just helps their buoyancy in the water. It brings them up a little higher. Wetsuit swims are always faster as well.
Yeah.
So it'll be a little bit slower with them in their swim skins, and some athletes will just be in their race kits because they are very fast just in their race kits. So yeah, obviously athlete dependent, but in general a wetsuit swim is faster than a non-wetsuit swim. Aaron Royal, Ben Canute, first two, and then that's Josh Amberger, and we have Kristian Blummenfelt and Mark Dubrick. So again, a phenomenal swim from Kristian. But this will be interesting for Jan. As I said, he's going to have to pull down that swim skin and then pull up his race kit. And you see him wrestling with it in the background. I know he's practiced this a lot, but it's still really hard to get that suit on when your arms are wet, the suit's wet. It's a high stress situation. Your heart rate's through the roof. You're running as full speed to try and get onto the bike as quickly as possible. So hopefully he can get his suit on very quickly and get onto that bike without any issues.
And just look at the support here as well in Milwaukee. It's a real celebration of triathlon here over the whole week, in fact. We've got the USA Triathlon National Championships events. There's like over 7,000 participants, and they get to see their idols today. And of course, wonderful for the athletes, Rennie, right, to be cheered on by the next generation, if you like, and just those that adore your performances.
It's always wonderful to race in front of a crowd and have that support out there. Yeah, these few moments here are going to be critical for Jan. Yeah, there's four men out right away. Mark Dubrick, I believe, is in that 5th position, trying to bridge up. And then we'll see what happens to Jan here. And here we go. This is the second group out. That's Frederick Fonk. That's Jason West.
He'll definitely be featuring at some point in the race, I'm sure. And we are welcomed in the commentary position, Jack. Is this how you saw it shaking out at this part of the race?
I thought the lead swim group might be a little bit bigger. I thought a few of those guys who ended up in the second pack might be there, but this is basically the substance of what I thought it would be. I'm a bit worried about this front group. It's a perfect position for Kristian Blummenfelt because he's not, he's going to work a little bit hard in this front group, but he's not going to go to the front and, push 450 watts and try to get away. He'll sit in and conserve his legs, and he sees it as a swim-run race, and look how he swam. He says his run form is the best it's been this year. This race is sort of like suiting him perfectly so far, and that second group that's coming behind has Fred Funk and Magnus Ditlev in it, so they'll catch this group fairly quickly. The front pack has Ben Canute in it and Josh Amberger in it, who do want to push the pace and always do try and push the pace because it's their only avenue to win. They're not going to win if they come off in a big group in T2. So yeah, I think it's only a matter of time till that second sort of Uber bike pack catches this front pack, and then we have the real race start.
And these are the pictures of Jan Frodeno in transition. And as you predicted, Rennie, we spoke about it, he's really struggling there with his kits.
Oh my goodness.
Your hands are on your head.
A veteran of 20 plus years racing, you know, these things happen when you're flustered and you're coming out of the water, your heart rate is so high and you're just, you know, trying to catch onto the back of that group. And as I said, it's critical for him to catch onto the back of that group. Not critical because obviously he has many cards to play, being so amazing over the 3 distances. But yeah, he forgot to take his speed suit off.
All right, so that's Jason West, I believe, with a mechanical change in transition.
It looks like his just headset came loose there, so his handlebars would have dropped down, and obviously very dangerous, so he's getting that tightened up. The great Jan Frodeno on screen here.
First man to win gold at the Olympics and the Ironman World Championships as well. 3 times Ironman, 2-time half Ironman World Champion. Like, whenever you speak about Jan Frodeno, you need to put caps locks for his name. He is an outstanding athlete, and it's beautiful to have him with us here today. Sad that we're not going to see him race much more than 2023.
I think he's done more than his fair share of racing.
Yeah. It's just nice to have him around, though.
It is. I mean, obviously he's pushed the sport forward. 3-time Ironman World Champion, as you mentioned, 2-time 70.3 World Champion, Olympic gold medalist. This man's done it all.
Yeah.
And he's 41 years old and still racing at the top level. I think his longevity is the thing that really is the most admirable.
This is real-time data. We're aware of the max efforts from all of the individual athletes. So this is as accurate as it can get. Marjarier is pushing just a little bit more than Blummenfelt, but what does that mean?
So someone might work at a really high percentage of their threshold but have a slightly lower heart rate. Someone might work a little bit easier but have a higher heart rate. It's a little tricky to tell. Looking at those zones, I guess the thing it tells us is that Matthias and Kristian are both working pretty hard.
Yeah.
Although you look at the shots and Kristian looks to be pretty easy. So, yeah, that says a bit about Kristian, maybe more so than anything else.
Good game face.
I expect to see Magnus Ditlev now get onto Jan's wheel on this downhill towards the back of this lap. And then that's where the fun really starts here. Matthias and Kristian versus Magnus and Fred Funk is fun. We think Magnus will catch them. And if he does, then this race is now playing out in a way that not many people expected. It's a much smaller group up the front. And I guess like we talked about out of the swim, that front swim pack was fast, but it lacked bike depth and strength. And we're seeing the effects of that now, where so many of them have got spat out the back from Kristian Blummenfelt, who is no doubt a top 5, top 6 cyclist in this distance in the world, but he's not, you know, quite Magnus Ditlev strong. So really interesting that we're about to see probably a group of 4, 5, 6 and no bigger take the front of the race in the next 10, 20 kilometres.
And here's a big move here, Rennie.
Yeah, I think Magnus has decided, you know, he sort of sat in for a moment there. And now he's decided to make that move. And this is going to be a big move. He will want to get rid of Jan. He's not going to want Jan running off the bike with him. He is going to be putting his head down, as I said, right there, and really pushing big watts. If Jan's going to stay with him, he is going to have to put everything into this move. And we'll see. I think, as Jack said, it's important for Jan to stay here because that is the podium.
This is that 3 to 5% gradient hill. They're nearly at the top of it. If you look as far as you can see at the camera, there's some traffic lights up the top of the hill, which is where the hill finishes, and then they start this downhill. This is like one of the most fascinating race dynamics we've probably seen. Magnus, Kristian, and Matthias out the front of the race. Jan's dropped off. Jan's not going to get back there, I don't think. I know I said this about 15 minutes ago, and it's an early one, but to me, this is the podium. These three are three of the best runners in the world, and they're off the front of the race, and they're riding faster than anyone catching behind. Fred Funk's 40 seconds back. Josh Amberger's 55 seconds back with Daniel Bakkegaard and Aaron Royal, and Ben Canute's a minute 30 back. I don't see this race being shaken up much more from here. And now what we can sort of start to keep our eye on and watch is how are these guys looking? How is Magnus looking? How is Matthias looking? How is Kristian looking? Is Magnus going to make a move? So Magnus has a choice here, and his choice is, do I sit in with Kristian and Matthias, or do I go? So I want to see Magnus make a decisive, tough decision to hurt himself and drop these two.
The great Jan Frodeno on screen here. Even at 41 years old, a 20-year career, his gold medal back in 2008, and 3 World Ironman Championships, 2 70.3 World Championships. He really has nothing to prove, but he's still out there fighting tooth and nail for everything he can get, and that's so admirable about Jan Frodeno.
The big news, Magnus Ditlev has made his move, Rennie. He now leads the PTO US Open. It looked pretty effortless there.
This is a typical Magnus Ditlev move. It's not an explosive move. I don't know, for people who might watch the Tour de France, when Tadej Pogačar attacks, he puts 800 watts down for 30 seconds. Magnus doesn't do that. He pushes a watts that's slightly above what everyone else is capable of and just tries to hold it for long periods of time. I mean, will this break up the race with 20 kilometres to go in the bike? It would be pretty unlikely if all 3 of these boys just let him ride off the front. They'll sort of dig in, and if they have to work hard to hold here, they will.
They're getting ready for the dismounts. How key is it this is smooth?
John, this is the most exciting part of triathlon for me. T2, when you've got a lead group of strong people coming into it, like, we're used to seeing Kristian sort of take things easy out of T2 and then work his way into the run. We're very used to seeing Jan Frodeno take the race by the scruff of the horns in T2. Matthias no. Kristian's cramped. Not again.
No way.
Canada all over again. This happened to Kristian, the exact same quad. Canada last year at the PTO Canadian Open. He lost that race to Gustav Iden, cramping early in the run, ultimately came back. It's happened again, and it's the same quad.
So first step off the bike, and as you said, you know, those first steps are telling. That was extremely telling.
I sort of thought Kristian had this race in the bag. I sort of thought there's no way he hasn't won this. There's something with the way Kristian rides a time trial bike that he keeps cramping in that left quad. He needs to figure that out. Suddenly this race is Magnus, Jan and Matthias's to lose.
I don't know if I'd call him out just yet. He has had a cramp, and he is getting trouble.
Struggling with that left shoe because it's on that left leg. This happened at the Canadian Open last year, though. He cramped. He ran well early. He cramped, walked, struggled, and then he actually ran the second half of the run faster than anyone else on course. And if it was another 3K, he would have caught Gustav Iden for the win. Jan looks good to me. I sort of expected Jan to look a little heavier and maybe a little bit more proppy through T2 there. He looks great. What we're going to see here, we're going to see Magnus look really smooth and run comfortably, and you're going to see like this gritty, hard running style of Matthias Maggiera. Jan looks solid too. This is typical Jan Frodeno, what we're seeing now. Very different to what we saw in Ibiza, where out of T2 he looked cooked. And you could sort of tell, oh, this wasn't Jan's day. Now, Jan doesn't go to the front of the races just to big dog people. He doesn't really go there if he can't like sustain that pace. He's not going to just go there for that bravado and innuendo and say like, and bluff it. He doesn't bluff like that. If Jan's moving to the front of a race like this, it means he's feeling good and it means he's fit. This is massive here. Kristian Blummenfelt has come back. We talked about this coming off T2. He did this at the Canadian Open when he had that left leg
here we
cramp.
go again. Another cramp.
No way.
Just as he was about to make his move.
It's almost like it happens out of nowhere and he doesn't even know it. It was as he made a move. So he was going to go around Magnus then, and he was going to put down a little bit of pressure, and that little bit of an increase in the pace that he was trying to do set it off.
Just heartbreaking when you see athletes, all the preparation that go into it and then cramp.
And this is a look back at what happened in Edmonton.
So same leg, that left leg.
It's the exact same spot. I think what we're seeing with Kristian here, he has a few positional things on his TT bike that make that cramp a little bit more likely. His position, his crank length, that type of thing. Compared to, say, Jan and Magnus, who have perfect setups for themselves. I think Kristian and his team need to go away and look at that, because it's happened twice now. You know, they say don't make the same mistake twice. Kristian has. They need to get on top of that. At this point here on the run, you're about 6K to go. You're about 6.5K to go. Have I really jumped the gun too early here? And is Jason West is he about to win this race? It's seriously not out of the realm of possibility. He's about 2 minutes 30 down on Jan.
I think podium.
I think he's definitely going to run into third and potentially second. If you look how fast he's moving, he's running 3 minutes per K.
So 15 seconds per K faster than Jan Frodeno. So
it's close, but not quite.
Yeah,
if they keep running like this, although that's just average pace, he's actually running more like 2:59, 3 minutes per K over the last sort of 3K.
Well, it's an inspired effort already from Jason West, and we will see how that unfolds, whether he can indeed hold that kind of pace. He's got form for it. But of course, he's got to lay it down here in Milwaukee in a very strong field with lots of other things going on right now. Jan Frodeno still leading the race.
Magnus Ditlev is pulled off to the side.
Yeah, we saw that when he ran through transition 2 last time. He looked like he was
out of the
hurting.
race.
Yep, he's done.
Oh.
Challenge Roth's come back to get him there. The heat, he's a big athlete. He had his zip down all race. He was covered in sweat. Yeah, we've seen this in PTO races, and this is something the PTO need to be complimented on. They're putting races on in great environments for hard racing. They did it at Canada, they did it at Dallas last year, and they've done it again here. This is like a brutal course. Jason West is the one who's...
Jason West is just about to run into third place. This will be his best ever performance in a PTO event. And probably biggest paycheck too.
Well, if he said that 5th in the PTO Ibiza was his career best, then he is running into something right now. Trending in the right direction is Jason West, and to do it in the US as well is a beautiful thing.
And this is what I love about triathlon. We all had Magnus and Kristian and Jan obviously up there, but not so much Jan. Look at Kristian, he's such a competitor, isn't he? He's just trying to go with Jason West right there. But
we're looking at Magnus walking here, but we just saw Jason West run past Kristian and put in an insane surge. It would have been a 240 per K surge, and Lord. Kristian didn't let it happen. He went with it.
This is Kristian. He's like, I am not going to be off this podium. So hopefully he doesn't cramp here. But
all eyes on Kristian's left quad as we speak. Kristian Blummenfelt here and Jason West are blowing my mind. Jason West working his way back up here into second is insane. I almost don't believe what I'm seeing, but it's trumped by I don't believe that I'm seeing Kristian be able to hold on to his feet. Look, and Jason put in another surge. Go.
Here they go. Jason West into second. Matisse looks over, and then he'll notice that Kristian's with him as well.
Kristian sees himself as a better athlete than Jason West. He would hate losing to Jason West. He'll be so motivated to stay on the feet of Jason West and out-sprint him. Like, you can't describe how motivated he'll be for that. And Jason West, like I said, he's motivated for the complete opposite reason. He's ready to prove himself as being as good as these guys. And this is where the battle is really going to begin. Jan's now, he's entering this state of like euphoria of like, look at me. I'm the greatest of all time. Stop talking about Alistair Brownlee in the same sentence as me. I'm the greatest triathlete to ever live. This is a career-defining performance that cements him as the greatest of all time for me, and I think for everyone watching today, John.
This is unbelievable stuff.
Look at him.
There was 616 days.
Jason West has surge here ahead of Kristian Blummenfelt, John. He's broken Kristian Blummenfelt.
But then Jan Frodeno is coming down the blue carpet. What a moment it is for Jan Frodeno, the Olympic champion, multi-time world champion. He is about to add the PTO US Open to his very long list of credentials. What a performance.
Wow.
And what a man. The greatest of all time, Jan Frodeno, is about to cross the line and win the US Open. Congratulations, that man.
John, this is insane what he's just done today. And he knows it too.
And look at the face of Jason West. The best performance of his career. He is really biting down, showing a clean pair of heels to Kristian Blummenfelt. He is coming in second place. It is a massive prize for Jason West here in Milwaukee.
How has he done that? Jason West just there has run that's the fastest run in PTO history. Look how much he had to hurt. 56.23. He just won. Jan Frodeno won that race. He ran 1:01. That is just insane by Jason West.
Kristian Blummenfelt, despite the pain and the agony, has come over the finish line. He finishes in third, and you can see how much it hurts. It really has been quite something. We'll take a deep breath here, but of course, the man of the moment, the man who will be standing atop the podium. He's done so much for the sport, and he adds the US Open to his curriculum vitae. Jan Frodeno coming in at a time of 3:14 and 12. Jason West running in like a freight train to get second. Kristian Blummenfelt felt the pain, but he does still realise the podium. What a day of racing it has been.
Thank you, John. We're absolutely exhausted, and we've had nothing to do at all today. Rinny is alongside, as is the man of the moment. Some greats just get to write their own scripts, and today you've done exactly that. Never in doubt?
Yeah, no, trust me, I was plenty of doubt. It was quite something on the swim already. Pace was on. I got kicked really hard on the first buoy, and then had a terrible first transition simply because I couldn't swim with my suit up. And then on the bike, it was on. Like, I look at the guys I used to race against 3 or 4 years ago, and I'm faster than them. But there's just a handful of guys that have just upped the game, and it's just, I was on the rivet for a while and then decided to ride my own pace.
We were reading in the week, you did an interview with the New York Times, and you said the time has probably come because the anger isn't there quite so much anymore. Is that true today, or did you manage to find a little something?
I got angry when Kristian punched me on the first buoy, and I was like, dude, you can have the guard, we can have the changing of the guard, but the throne will stay with me.
We had it all. We had a high sun, and we had still water, and we had a clear run. And then we had the starter gun, and all hell broke loose as underdogs barked, and bikes broke, and swim skins stuck, and new dads grinned, and the coming men went, and the favourite blew, and WestJet flew, and at the end you just knew that the greatest, well, he is the greatest. So, ladies, it's over to you.
We are racing. So triathlon fans, we have 100 kilometers of super fast swim, bike, run here in Milwaukee for the PTO US Open. $600,000 is up for grabs here today, as well as lucrative PTO points. On the course today, we have 16 of the top 30 PTO female athletes from 10 different countries, no less. And we're underway in that swim. 2 kilometers in Lake Michigan. We have 2 laps, a long Aussie exit where the athletes will depart from the water for about 125 meters before diving back in. You might notice as well, there are some colored swim caps. That's going to help us identify who the front runners are. Check out the orange cap of Ashleigh Gentle. She, of course, as I'm sure you're aware, is going to feature heavily today. The purple cap is Rebecca Clark, and she looks like she's out in front at the moment. Well, I do beg your pardon, it looks like we have the silver cap of Lauren Brandon, who is out in front. Taylor Knibb is wearing the white, and she's coming up on the shoulder of Rebecca Clark. Already they're stringing out, Rinny.
Yeah, I think the pace is on from the gun, and all thanks to this woman, Lauren Brandon. She is just a class act when it comes to swimming, and Taylor's really struggling to attach to her feet, and it looks like everyone behind her is sort of staying intact for now. But as we get to the turn buoys at the end of the course here, that's when things will start to shake out a little more, and packs will start to form, I believe. So we'll sort of sit tight and see what happens. But right now it looks like Lauren Brandon is getting away from Taylor Knibb. That is Ellie Salthouse actually right there on the feet of Holly Lawrence. So that would be in 5th and 6th position. That's a great swim for Ellie Salthouse right on the feet of Holly Lawrence, but we are used to that battle.
Yes, and a battle that we saw in Boulder actually in the water was Knibb and Lauren. She was only 3 seconds behind. Of course, you know, we got a long way to go in the swim, but she's going to need to do some serious work to get on the feet again of the veteran Lauren Brandon.
I think Taylor's going to get out of this water here and really sprint around the Aussie exit to try and jump back on Lauren Brandon's feet. Whether she can or not, that remains to be seen. But honestly, I don't think it's going to matter as we get into transition. And actually, one other thing to note is that Taylor usually puts socks on in transition. So she does usually have a little bit of a slower transition than the other ladies because she opts to put socks on before the bike. Most of the athletes generally don't do that until T2.
Okay, well, let's see the ladies' exits. It is slippy out there at points.
Beautiful time there as she just gets into the water again.
There's Paula Finlay on screen right now.
Yes, Paula Finlay in the yellow cap. And look out for Ashleigh Gentle in the orange cap.
It looks like 37 to 39 seconds for Ashleigh Gentle and Paula Finlay. So that's a dangerous duo, those two on the bike together. I don't think there are any other women who can ride as fast as Taylor can right now. Obviously, you think of then like Paula Finlay, who's obviously a national champion for Canada for cycling, but Taylor Knibb is just on a different level, and I think we're going to see this when she hops out and starts this bike on her new American flag bike, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of whether she has the run legs to hold off Ashleigh Gentle and Tamara Jewett and the rest of the women that will be coming through from behind.
Yeah, well, here comes Lauren Brandon. She and her husband Barrett, a former professional triathlete as well, now loves his bikes. She's getting herself set. What's she doing here? This with the kits?
So a lot of the men yesterday opted to have their kits up, and that was where Jan had his issues. So he didn't have his kit up. He said he only received his kit at 3 p.m. the afternoon before the race, and so it didn't sort of fit well enough to swim in. So he opted to have it down, and he was pulling it up in transition, and he was so busy trying to get it, on correctly that he forgot to take his swim skin off. Taylor Knibb's got to do the same thing here. Beck Clark is not going to, because clearly she has her suit already up and not have to worry about that. So Taylor Knibb has opted to have it down as well. And then you see Hayley Truer coming out, and she could see her sleeves in the swim, so she is not going to have that issue either. So Taylor Knibb will be sort of trying to get this kit on. Lauren Brandon's done it beautifully. She clearly has practiced that. Yes, taking the swim skin off, and she'll be onto the bike and off. But again, I think the athletes, the ideal scenario is that they have their suit up and on correctly before they get to the bike, so that when they get to the bike, they're not losing any time. They're just basically throwing the speed skin in the bin, and then off they go.
So Ashleigh Gentle, 1:04 down on the lead, about 30 off of Knibb, as we see Lauren Brandon exiting T1.
Yeah, interesting to note that at the US Open last year, Ash was around 1:07 down from Taylor Knibb out of the swim, and so that sort of tells me that Taylor hasn't had her usual swim.
Right.
She'd normally be probably more 30 seconds up, which is where Lauren Brandon was. So not quite the swim we're used to from Taylor, but I don't think, we'll see actually right now, because they're in transition together. So this is really great for Ash. She's going to 30 seconds behind. This is ahead of where she probably expected. And these women are out on the bike fast and furious. They want to get up to Taylor to see if they can stick with her as long as possible.
And I might be reading into something that is fairly innocuous, but I did see that Taylor was pretty strapped up on her leg as well. And there has been some talk of a potential injury. I have no idea of the severity, but she is showing evidence that something's not quite where it wants to be.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on Taylor's injury. I hear like her tibia head, or fibula head, has been getting a little stuck, and she has missed maybe a couple of run sessions, but nothing to be concerned about. So I think it's just something she's being cautious with and making sure to take care of it. As I said, Taylor is a very calculated athlete, and if there's any niggle, she'll jump on it right away. I mean, obviously she's got a big end of the season coming up. She's got a lot of big goals. She always has a lot of big goals, but she has a lot of big goals at the end of this year. So I think she'll want to make sure you know, any little niggles taken care of right away. And I think that that's what we're seeing with that tape on her leg.
And you predicted a slower transition for Taylor Knibb. Ashleigh Gentle only 9 seconds behind Taylor Knibb out of T2.
4.57 watts per kilo for Ash Gentle. That's probably, you know, pretty solid for her, sort of like upper aerobic type effort. She's not redlining it by any means. She's definitely riding within herself at the moment, but like on the upper limit of within herself. And she sort of has to, because she's in the third wheel and Taylor has just gotten away from her. Taylor's sort of put in quite a strong move early, which we know she does. She's not like Magnus from yesterday who works into his bike. Taylor just goes from the gun, and she already has got about 10 seconds on Ashleigh as we see her making the pass on Lauren Brandon now.
So Taylor Knibb making quick work of that 30 seconds. This is still on the first out straight away, and they do have 7 laps of this bike course. Here we see Paula Findlay. Oh, she's just dropped her water bottle. Obviously went over a little bump there, and that was her front water bottle. That is kind of costly, actually. It won't incur a penalty because it was accidental. Obviously, littering usually would incur a penalty if the athlete purposely discards, but her water bottle popped out there. That's not great news for Paula Findlay, but I mean, I'm sure she's got a backup plan. She's a professional, and yeah, but just not ideal.
As you see Ash Gentle just here behind Paula Findlay, you'll see Taylor Knibb. That's Taylor Knibb's motorbike there, right there as they make the pass. So they'll get a little bit of an idea about the distance between each other. For the record, that's about 1:30, which is 35k into the bike. Taylor would have expected that to be bigger. What we're seeing play out here with this group of Paula Findlay, Ash Gentle, Ali Salthouse, India Lee, this is the perfect scenario for all of these girls behind Taylor. 1:30 down, 35k into the bike. You know, great runners like Ashleigh Gentle and really consistent runners like India Lee in this group. They couldn't have dreamed for a better scenario than how this is playing out right now. As we move on to the 4th lap of the bike here, John and Rinny, we've just seen the exact same thing happen again on lap 3, which is Taylor made up about 20-30 seconds on the way out up the climb, and then the girls behind in that chase group sustained it all the way back into T2. So that's now 3 out of 3 laps that's happened. Here on the 4th lap, I guess that's what we've all got to watch for. If it trends in the same direction, we should see Taylor with about a 2-minute gap at the top of the hill, and then the girls maintain it. So definitely keep our eye on that, and keep your eye on the app with the tracker there to see if that is happening, because it tends to. I mean, it looks like that's the pattern of the race right now.
This is an indication of how hard they're going. Ashleigh Gentle, 92% of her maximum heart rate versus Paula Findlay's 82%. Like, she's really going for it.
Yeah, to be expected though. Like, to stay with Paula Findlay, Ash Gentle does have to work really hard, but she knows that this is a great position. So in this position, right, the mindset of this is Paula Findlay is wanting to work hard but not absolutely redline it. She wants to stay within these numbers that she sort of projected, and this field that she's projected is where I can ride for 80k and still run relatively well, just backing her bike strength. Whereas Ashleigh Gentle knows that her race is this group. So she's willing to go quite a bit harder to stay in these wheels rather than lose it and then bleed time. Ashleigh's key to victory for this race is just to stay with Paula and stay in this group, because she knows if she does that, she's going to be probably not too far back from Taylor and able to run through and win the race. Whereas Paula is more just about holding her numbers. And then with Taylor now knows it's my time now. I have to go now. So Taylor will also be really willing to work very hard at the moment, because that's her avenue to win the race. I'm really actually quite surprised by how well Lucy Byram has ridden. We're seeing her make a move here. So once you make this move, I mean, usually we're going to see her make the move past more than one person. Like, she's not just going to go past Ali, she'll now go past Ash as well. And I wonder if we are going to see Lucy sort of, as she's tucked in there and taking a little rest, decide, okay, now I'm going to go and try and drive this front group. She's got a lot of intent, so it looks like she's going to go straight to the front and go right around both Paula and India and set a new tempo at the front of this chase group. So we're nearly 70k into this bike, and we are seeing this Lucy Byram move pay big dividends for that chase group. It just keeps coming down. So when Lucy went to the front of that pack, it was 2:15, and now Lucy's got it down to 1:45. So Lucy's actually put 30 seconds, or yeah, pretty much 30 seconds into Taylor in about, what, not even 10k.
What a season it is for Lucy Byram. I think she turns 24 in a couple of days as well, so could be giving herself an early birthday present here, and it could be a really hefty check as well if she's able to keep this kind of form up.
With the last time check, we saw that Taylor Knibb only had about 1:40 on Lucy Byram and Paula Findlay. Yeah, we probably expected her to have maybe even triple the lead that she has now, 2, 3, 4 times a bigger lead than she has now. And I think maybe even Taylor expected that. So being inside Taylor's head here, what she's going to think when she sees these girls coming into T2, because they will enter T2 probably right as she's about to leave it or as she's just leaving it, that would be a very interesting place to be inside her head, because she's not used to a situation like this. It hasn't happened in Longhurst for her forever, really.
I think we just did see, though, her dad show her, because I saw her nod her head, and you saw a man holding the whiteboard. So she knows exactly how far behind they are. She knows that distance, and obviously she's been watching it closely for the whole race. So I don't think she's going to be surprised. She's just kind of like, okay, it is what it is. Now I've got to execute a great run to stay ahead for as long as possible.
From the USA. Lucy's got the...
This is Lucy Byram coming in. She'll take that camelback out as soon as she gets into transition and discard that so that she's not running with it. Yeah, obviously a very strong cycle leg for her.
So Lucy Byram only rode 15 seconds slower than Taylor Knibb then. Keep in mind, at the Ironman 70.3 World Championships last year, Taylor Knibb rode about 8 minutes faster than everyone else. So, you know, that's a really impressive ride by Lucy Byram. And Paula Findlay obviously only rode about a minute slower than her. So this is quite a surprising dynamic that we're seeing, but it makes for such a fun and exciting race.
And yeah, the clock starts here really when Ashleigh Gentle hops off the bike. We'll see what this split is, but only 90 seconds from Taylor Knibb to Lucy Byram.
Taylor Knibb, Lucy Byram and Paula Findlay are running basically the same right now.
Sensational athlete, just 25 years of age. Enviable skills in swim, bike and run, which date back to her time at high school. And she's looking good today.
And you're seeing now Ashleigh Gentle run into third place, and that's Paula Findlay just up ahead. So she's making quick work of these early kilometres and will be in second position momentarily. But yeah, Ashleigh Gentle running as we suspected very fast. So around 40 seconds a lap would put her somewhere around end of lap 4, early lap 5, catching up to Taylor Knibb.
We see Ashleigh Gentle has moved into second place. She is stepping on the gas. She's doing what we know she can do. And she's going to make this race a lot more uncomfortable for Taylor Knibb.
And look at this. Holly Lawrence, I don't know who she's talking to there. Maybe her husband's right on course, but Holly Lawrence has passed Ellie Salthouse, and that will be for 5th position. So this rivalry, we'll see if Ellie has any fight in her or whether she can go with Holly, but Holly certainly looks very good running here.
So we're 8k into the run now, 10k to go, and Taylor Knibb is 1 minute 50 ahead of Ashleigh Gentle. So that makes this a race that's going to go right down to the wire almost. We're not going to, if we do see that pass, it's not going to come until the final, 1 or 2 kilometres if things keep going like this without a blow up from Taylor Knibb, or unless Ashleigh Gentle really picks up the pace. And now sort of through 3rd to sort of 6th here, we're seeing another big battle where the positions have changed multiple times between these athletes. There's like a lot left in this race, a lot more than maybe we expected at this point in the female race.
Paula Findlay another super respected athlete on the tour.
It does look like a bit of a battle of attrition for everyone else on course that isn't Taylor Knibb and Ashleigh Gentle. We are seeing the paces of the girls behind actually slow up quite a lot. Now, we have seen Ashleigh Gentle and Taylor Knibb's paces slow up a little bit there over lap 3 and the start of lap 4 here. But it's not dramatic, whereas the girls behind do look to be locked into absolute battles of attrition. To keep you updated here on the paces, Ashleigh Gentle is only running about 1, 2 or 3 seconds per kilometre each kilometre since kilometre 10, faster than Taylor Knibb. So this fight back from Taylor Knibb has actually been quite amazing, given that about 3 or 4K into the run, it almost looked like fait accompli that Ashleigh Gentle would at some point hunt Taylor Knibb down. Taylor Knibb's really gathered. Maybe we are seeing what Rinny thought we might have seen, that was Ash Gentle really attack the first few Ks out of T2 to try and close that gap. But we have seen Taylor Knibb hold steady here.
Oh man, he's going at a fair clip as well to keep up with the cameras.
Yeah, it's very easy to run at a fair clip for 100 metres.
Taylor Knibb has stayed super consistent here too. She's running all her laps at about 13:30 per lap, which is like 3:42 per kilometre or something like that. You do have to keep in mind the age of these two athletes. Ashleigh Gentle, she's about 8 years older than Taylor Knibb. So Taylor Knibb, Ashleigh Gentle's probably the queen of the PTO distance right now, but Taylor Knibb is the future of this sport.
And she's coming in where the crowds thicken. More support to bring the athletes home here in Milwaukee. She'll go past the Arts Museum, the big sails, and she's had a bit of a masterpiece of her own today. She's closing in on the chute now. There's the smile. Or maybe not. Maybe I went too early. Surely there's going to be some emotion from Taylor Knibb now, the current number 6 in the world. She was second at the US Open in 2022. She has brought it home. The American on home soil is the winner of the US Open here in Milwaukee. It is a fantastic and excellent A-star performance from Taylor Knibb. What an athlete we see before us.
Like I said, John, not too much of a celebration from Taylor Knibb. She's just so methodical. She's almost like she expects herself to win a race like this. She'll be over the moon inside, and she's the kind of person who just loves achieving big dream goals like this. So,
well, Ashleigh Gentle, she takes the sunnies up. She comes in with the support. Now there's a big smile. So consistent at this 100-kilometre distance. She is often the one to beat. She is coming home in second place. Outstanding performance again from Ashleigh Gentle. And she will go over to Taylor Wells. Certainly Taylor Knibb will go over to Ashleigh Gentle. A great rivalry there between those two athletes.
Two fierce competitors, two athletes at the absolute top of their game, with two performances that were absolutely world class. Like, Ashleigh Gentle did not have a bad race then. Ashleigh Gentle had an amazing race. Taylor Knibb just had an even better race. It's yeah, that's pretty special what we've just witnessed from those two today.
And here is Canada's Paula Findlay. She has raced her way to third here at the PTO US Open. Congratulations, Paula Findlay. A big smile that she crosses the line.
A heck of a performance. How proud of you of what you've put in today?
Yeah, I'm relieved and proud and happy, and it always feels good to finish on the podium, especially these things. They're so competitive. And so I think at this point I just have to be really satisfied with that result.
Is it congratulations because that was a heck of a performance, or is it commiserations because you didn't quite get what you looked for today?
Probably a bit of both. It would have been nice to defend my title, but I gave it 110%, so I can't be disappointed. Taylor was the better athlete on the day, and she had a phenomenal race, so it hurts to lose, but how can you be disappointed when you lose like that to Taylor?
I'm so glad to see the smile is on, because as you crossed the finish line, I wasn't quite sure where the emotions were. First things first, Stella, stunning. Congratulations. Tell us how you're feeling in this moment.
Well, I'm relieved. I'm glad that's over. I think there are races that feel good and there are races that don't, and that was one where it was like, from the first stroke of the swim, I'm like, oh, this is going to be a long day, and I was in the water, I'm like, just get me out of this, and then on the bike, it was kind of just get me done with this, and the run felt the best, which is shocking, and it was just really an interesting day, so I'll take it.
Final confirmation then that the USA's Taylor Knibb has secured her first W on the PTO Tour at the expense of the world #1 Ashleigh, with Canada's Paula Findlay completing the podium. Well, we promised you storylines, and my word, Milwaukee has delivered in spades. We've had drama in the men, we've had quality in the women. The PTO US Open in 2023 is going to live long in the memory. And the good news is we don't have long to wait until we'll do it all over again. Live from Singapore, it's the PTO Asian Open in a couple of weeks' time. Until then, from all of us, thanks for watching. It's bye for now.